Hello guys, welcome to the video by Football Infinity. Today we've got a football fan like all of us and somebody who's been watching the Premier League since its inception and a very old Chelsea fan. He's seen everything before Abramvich. Uh, I don't think most of us have, but yeah, he's here with us. It's Haneef. How you doing, man?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Ranabir. It's a pleasure. I loved one of your videos where I heard the song "Ole Ole Ole" and I thought that was hilarious. It's good to talk to a young Chelsea fan to see how you see the game. Because
I'm a United fan.
are you a United fan? Oh bloody hell! I thought you were a Chelsea fan. I beg your pardon. Right? Yeah, it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough few weeks for Chelsea. And yeah, it should be interesting. But yeah, I've been a Chelsea fan for a very long time. Um, I've been very lucky to see a lot of success in recent times, and I've also been in the top. I've seen Chelsea in the top 10, top 12. I've seen us lose to West Ham many times before. I've seen us beat United when we weren't that good, but then we'd go lose to Birmingham City. So I'm fully aware of what could happen this season. I really am.
So, like I said, you've been watching Chelsea since before Abramvich. So most people they only fell in love with Chelsea after Mourinho guided them to the title. So obviously Zola was a factor in you choosing Chelsea before, but I mean Chelsea at that time were not Prem title contenders or even in the top four. So what pushed you into supporting the club? Because there was an Arsenal and a United at that time who were basically winning everything.
Um, I loved watching Zola. I thought he was magical. He
Yeah.
was exquisite. I was probably your age when I was supporting Chelsea as a youth, and you know, throughout education, I had to suffer a tough time following the Blues. It was a very tough time because we were we were winning cup winners cups. That was the third European trophy at that time. There were three back in the day, not two like there is now. There were three. And when Chelsea would win that, I used to be happy because it was a trophy. I just thought, you know what, this is our history. We have to start somewhere. We'd win the odd League Cup and the odd FA Cup. I remember us going to Manchester United and battering your boys 3-0, but then losing to West Ham the week after. And that was us. We were extremely inconsistent. Um, we've had some very good managers, and I've always got a soft place in my heart for Ranieri. He guided us into the top four, and then Abramvich came and then spent the money, and then
Yeah.
season after he was fired. Um, but yeah, I've seen the good and the bad really, and I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Um, I remember the likes of one of the quickest wingers. I remember Jesper Gromkia, such a great. He wasn't the greatest player, but his speed was phenomenal. He just had problems crossing a ball,
What about Joe
and
Cole
yeah,
at the same time? Like Joe Cole.
Joe Cole came. Joe Cole was at West Ham, and he had a lot of promise. Everybody knew he was going to be a fantastic player. I think West Ham were very lucky that Harry Redknapp was in charge, and he gave the youth a chance. West
Yeah.
Ham produced. You could argue that West Ham's academy produced some of the best players in England.
Frank
So you've got,
Lampard, Rio Ferdinand.
yeah,
Great
and
players.
and there's many more, and
Yeah.
Joe Cole, and as a result of as a result of that, Joe Cole, when he eventually came to Chelsea, he won the title. The one thing I liked about Joe Cole was whenever we played Liverpool, he would turn up. So he was always a lucky omen. He would always score against them, and then he ended up there eventually on big money, but didn't do anything. So, but Joe Cole in his prime was one of the best England players at the time. So So yeah, he was a phenomenal player. He's got a little place in my heart, but he's not the main reason why I support Chelsea. The main reason is I got to see the likes of Marcel Desailly, a World Cup winner. I saw Frank Leboeuf. I saw Graham Lasso. I saw leaders like Dennis Wise, and
Exactly.
that's I saw guys that were not big in size but big in stature, and that's why I fell in love with Chelsea Football Club. It was easy to go and support Man United at that time. It
Yeah.
really was, but
True. True.
for some odd reason, when Cantona left United, I just thought, you know what, I don't like United anymore. I just don't. Even though they had good players, I'm just like, you know what, no. And then I saw that little Italian magician at Stamford Bridge. He caught my attention, and I couldn't look away. I couldn't look away. Some of the best memories of my youth, and Chelsea, in my opinion, are one of the best Premier League teams of all time. It's very hard to say that in front of a Man United fan,
You know,
but yeah, that's just how I feel about Chelsea. I've seen the good and the bad times, and I appreciate where we came from. Yes, Roman Abramovich changed the Premier League, but listen, he could have gone to Tottenham,
yeah.
where he was supposed to go to, but he wanted to come to us, and you know what? We've had a tremendous relationship with Roman. He's always invested into the club. Raw, you have to remember, as a result of Roman coming in, he made the Premier League so much better, so much more competitive.
True.
You would we wouldn't
Broke the
we
bad.
wouldn't have got the yeah, bro. We broke the bank, and we wouldn't have got the likes of Mourinho, Drogba, Robin, Duff, and all these guys. You know, Carvalho,
Yeah.
Thiago,
Exactly.
and these guys. So I can't complain. Man United spend money, so Chelsea's owner spend his money. So it is what it is.
So
Since
right,
Romans in we've won many things.
you just talked about Roman a bit there. So my question is, right before Roman came in, so what was the feeling around Chelsea? So was it excited? Was it a bit scared, skeptical? Like what was going on around the supporters of Chelsea?
At that time, we wanted to try and break into the top four. That was that was the main goal. To try and get into that top four, or at least get into Europe. The top six, it was top seven at that time,
Yeah,
and as a result of that, that's what the ambition was. But your ambitions change throughout the season. So when your ambitions change, I can remember, going to Manchester United and battering United 3-0 away from home. I've seen us at our best, but then I've also seen us at our worst, and we couldn't find the consistency under Ranieri, or under many managers, to be fair. But at
yeah,
that time, it was to try and get into Europe or any European competition and try and compete.
yeah,
And that's where we were. We weren't a club going for the Premier League, even though we could beat any of the top two teams, because Liverpool were more or less like us as well. They were finishing in the top four, but they weren't exactly doing anything. For 30 years, they've done nothing, apart from last season. So, so yeah, that's just where we were. We just wanted to compete and try and build on our European success to see if we can compete with the big boys, or as big as we could take on at that time. We knew we weren't a Manchester United or an Arsenal, but we also knew that we were one of the best clubs in the Premier League. So
yeah.
yeah, that we were probably a top four, top six club at the time, and
So
that's
have
just me being honest.
So having been watching Chelsea since so much time, you've seen some great sides. So what do you think is your favorite side as a blue? And which side just stood out and you just said that this is the team I want to support, and yeah, this is the best time for Chelsea.
For me, it has to be Jose Mourinho's first year at Stamford Bridge because that was just special. It was amazing. We got Makaleli, and we couldn't have agreed. We couldn't have dreamed of getting one of Real Madrid's star players, even though Madrid fans never rated him at the time.
Yeah,
But then they realized what he did because he wasn't a superstar scoring goals.
yeah,
We took him from them, and I just think I look at that team and I just think, wow, we had some awesome players. We hijacked Robin from under Manchester United's noses. You know that, right?
yeah. I mean, Robin was
So
quite. It was chased by most clubs at that time, playing for Feyenoord, I guess. He was very good. Was it PSV or Feyenoord? I'm not sure.
it was PSV because we
Yeah,
also got the striker as well, Batman. What was his name? Totally forgotten his name. He wasn't the greatest of strikers, but we got both of them,
yeah,
and yeah, that for me that was the best side because we won the Premier League and we won it in style. So many things happened at Chelsea, and I wasn't expecting Chelsea to mount a title challenge like that. But it took a special human being at the time, and that was Mourinho. Mourinho was, and still is, probably arguably a top quality coach. If he wins something at Spurs, I have to put him down as a top quality coach. Um, but at the time, it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. What happened? Frank Lampard came in. Frank Lampard was flying under Mourinho. He would go through a bus for him. He would literally go through a bus. And Frank Lampard scored more goals than Thierry Henry in the
yeah.
Premier League.
Yes.
This is what Arsenal fans can't understand. We had Drogba. Everyone used laughed at us when Drogba came. What a waste of money. This, that, and the other. And then when Arsenal fans say to me that Henry's a better player, my response is always the same. Who turned up in the finals? Only one
Yeah,
man did, and that's Didier
yeah.
Drogba. Every final. He was also linked when he left Chelsea, when we won Champions League, heavily
Yeah.
linked to Manchester United.
But
Heavily linked.
but that was not the real Manchester United.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Clubs go through phases, and United fans have not seen success since 2013, since Fergie left. Get
exactly.
used to this. Get used to this because you might do another
I've
move. It
never.
might take you 30 years.
The problem is I've never seen it. I became a United fan right after we won the title, so I've never seen us lifting a title firsthand. So that's the thing. So, so I was quite young
Why?
when I
Why did you decide in following Manchester United and not Man City?
because I because I heard about the oil money. No,
The
nah, it
oil
was
money.
Rooney. It was Rooney. It was Rooney. I just loved
It was
Rooney.
Rooney. Okay.
Loved Rooney. Uh, but if you've been watching Chelsea since so long, so if you had to put out a Chelsea best 11, so who would you? What would you do? Who would you pick in that?
Wow. Check in goal
Yeah, for sure.
for Marcel Desailly, John Terry, Graham Lasso, Ashley Cole,
Yeah.
Frank Lampard, Gus Poyet,
Um,
Emmanuel Petit,
what about your best player? The one you were telling about, the Jose. Jose's best player.
Robin,
No, I mean defensive midfielder.
Maka. Yeah, it depends on how you want to play because whenever I used to play FIFA,
Yeah.
I'd always play 4-5-1.
Oh,
I'd have three midfielders, two wingers, and one striker.
yeah.
Drogba plays up top, Robin's on the left, Duff's on the right. No, sorry, Robin's Oh, it's tough. It's hard to pick between Robin and Hazard. I'll pick Hazard. Um, Duff on the, and then I'll put Robin on the right. It's very hard, for me because it was a different time.
Yeah,
That was a different type of football.
true.
Today's football is, I call it rock and roll football, because we don't. I don't know how you see it, but we don't see much quality football because of the press. Teams are being pressed, but they're losing the ball. Teams are not having to pass the ball as much. There's not much quality uh, um, players going on. You know, it's it's a different time for football. For the teams like Leeds and stuff, when you don't have top quality players throughout the team, it's very difficult. So they play that way, a high press, and they need to be super fit, and they try and win the ball high up, further along the field. But when you can't do that, when a team sits back like Wolves did the other night, then you're pressing without quality, and sometimes you will suffer because you're just huffing and puffing for no reason.
Exactly.
But
So
yeah, it's so hard. I can give you, I could possibly give you 15 names, and it just depends on the lineup. Up top would be Zola and Drogba together. Those are my favorite two. And then I'd put Hasselbank on the bench. And then but I'd also have to have Good Johnson in my team as well. So it's very hard for me to name an 11, but I could name 50. I've given you 15 names there, and I just rotate with them because some of them from the past were amazing, and then some from the current, from the last 17 years when we started winning stuff. We won 5 league titles under Abramvich, and I think we will be back because Roman always backs us, and that's what I like about Roman Abramvich. He's not afraid to splash the cash, but you have to remember the way Chelsea's run. I don't like it. I do believe we should give the manager time, but I just I can't believe I'm about to say this, and
yeah,
I love Frank. I really love Frank, but I don't think Frank's the guy for us.
I think that
We
makes
can't. So we got to stop hiring these legends to come in because they're not good coaches, in my opinion.
same
That's
with
my
Ole.
opinion. I just
I think even I have the same problem with Ole. I mean, he gets the good results here and there, but consistently, he's a manager with runs, and I don't think he's top notch and he's top quality. So yeah, I think hiring legends is that problem. They'll work or they won't work, but you can't say anything to them because you know what they've done for your club.
yeah, it's just one of them. I look at Ollie and I just think it's a different situation. Frank Lampard came in where we had lost our best player and we had a transfer ban, so the season was written off, and we got to see some very good young stars. But this season, because they've bought so many and they've not bought in the right areas,
Yeah,
we're not seeing Tammy Abraham as much. Why isn't Tammy playing? It
do you think
baffles me. He
not?
scored 15 league goals last season. You can't say he's a bad player. So I just don't think I just think we're going through the same rebuilding process last season, and I've written the season off. I don't know where we're going to finish. So I'm going to enjoy it when we have the good times and then suffer in the bad times. And I think Saturday might be a day where I have to suffer.